Captain Zexhia's forearms trembled as she watched the tactical display. Red dots surrounded her trading vessel like angry wasps around a disturbed hive. 18 Vorthan warships had dropped out of hyperspace just minutes ago, cutting off every escape route from the neutral zone mining station. "Captain, they're demanding we surrender immediately," reported her communications officer Vilinox. His usually calm voice cracked with fear. "They say any resistance will result in immediate termination of all crew members." Zexhia's elongated skull ridges flared with stress. The Kithani had been neutral traders for 3 centuries, selling rare minerals and maintaining peaceful relationships with dozens of species. They had never fired a weapon in anger. Their ship, the Gentle Current, carried mining equipment and food supplies, not weapons. "How many are aboard the station?" she asked. 732 beings, replied her first officer, Kundal. "Mostly miners and their families." "Children, Captain." "So many children." The mining station Haven's Rest hung in space behind them, a collection of interconnected modules and habitation rings. It had been built by 6 different species working together, a symbol of cooperation in the galaxy. Now it would become a symbol of something else entirely. Zexhi had seen the reports from other systems. When the Vorthan Empire decided to expand, they didn't negotiate. They conquered. Any species that resisted faced extinction. Those who surrendered became slaves, working in Vorthan factories until they died from exhaustion. "Captain." "Incoming transmission from the lead Vorthan vessel," Vilinox announced. "Put it through." The main screen flickered, revealing the scarred face of a Vorthan commander. His predatory features twisted into what might have been a smile on a less vicious species. The Vorthans looked like evolution had designed them specifically for war, thick, armored skin, razor-sharp teeth, and eyes that showed no mercy. "Kithani vessel. This is War Commander Thakaron of the Vorthan, Imperial Fleet. You have exactly 10 minutes to evacuate that station and prepare for boarding. Any delay will result in the destruction of both your ship and the station." Zexhi forced herself to stand straight. "Commander Thakaron, this is a neutral zone. We have mining rights granted by the Galactic Trade Council. These people have done nothing wrong." Thakaron's laugh sounded like grinding metal. "The Galactic Trade Council no longer exists in this sector, creature. We are the only authority here now. 9 minutes and 30 seconds remaining." The transmission ended. Zexhi sank into her command chair, her mind racing. 700 innocent beings depended on her decision. Her own crew of 38 looked to her for leadership. But what could she do? The Gentle Current had basic shields and engines designed for cargo hauling, not combat. The mining station had no weapons at all. Against 18 Vorthan warships, they might as well throw rocks. "Captain," Tyndall said quietly, "there might be another option. Speak freely." 3 days ago, I received an interesting message through unofficial channels. A human trader mentioned that Earth's military has been secretly patrolling the outer systems. Something about protecting trade routes and ensuring safe passage for peaceful vessels. Zexhi's eye stalks twitched. Humans, she had heard stories about the newest species to join the galactic community. They had appeared from a small planet called Earth just 50 years ago, eager to trade and explore. Most species found them strange. They were one of the few races that actually seemed to enjoy conflict, though they claimed to prefer peace. Humans are a minor species, Kindle. They have perhaps a few hundred ships total. What could they possibly do against the Vorthan Empire? Her first officer pulled up a data file. "Perhaps more than we think, Captain. Look at this battle report from the Kara system." The display showed the aftermath of a pirate attack on a human colony ship. The pirates had used standard tactics: overwhelm with numbers, demand surrender, take what they wanted. But the humans had responded differently than other species. Instead of surrendering or running, they had fought back with a ferocity that shocked even the pirates, the report described. Human tactics that other species called insane or suicidal. Humans would ram damaged ships into enemy vessels rather than retreat. They would continue fighting even when severely wounded. Most disturbing of all, they seemed to become more dangerous when protecting others, especially their young. This could be propaganda, Zexai said, though something in the report made her hope. Captain, I'm picking up an energy signature, announced her sensor operator. Something's coming out of hyperspace, Vorthan reinforcements. No, Captain. The signature is ... different. Smaller ships, but the energy readings are massive. War Commander Thackerone noticed it too. His voice crackled over the communications again, angrier now. Unknown vessels, this is Vorthan Imperial Space. Identify yourselves immediately or be destroyed. The response came on all frequencies, clear and confident. The voice spoke in perfectly translated Standard Galactic, but with an accent Zexai had never heard before. Vorthan vessels. This is Admiral Sarah Chun of the Earth Defense Force Rapid Response. Fleet, you are ordered to withdraw immediately from this neutral zone and cease hostile actions against civilian populations. Zex. High's crew stared at the communications board in stunned silence. Someone had just ordered the Vorthan Empire to retreat. The most feared military force in 3 sectors had been told to go home by humans. Thackerone's reply came swiftly. Human scum, you dare threaten the Vorthan Empire? We outnumber you 3-1. Surrender now or face annihilation. Negative, Vorthan. You have 60 seconds to begin withdrawal. This is your only warning. The bridge fell silent except for the hum of ship systems. Zexai counted 19 heartbeats before Thackerone responded. Destroy them. All vessels open fire on the human ships. Show these primitives the price of defiance. On the tactical display, the Vorthan ships moved into attack formation. Their weapons charged, energy signatures building toward lethal levels. Zexai watched 18 of the most advanced warships in the galaxy prepare to destroy what appeared to be a much smaller human force. Captain, whispered Velinox, long-range sensors show only 6 human ships. How can 6 ships fight 18? Zexai didn't answer because she didn't know, but something in Admiral Chen's voice had carried absolute confidence. Not the bravado of someone hoping to bluff their way out of trouble, but the calm certainty of someone who knew exactly what they were doing. The first Vorthan salvo lit up space with deadly energy beams. Zexai closed her eyes, expecting to see the human ships destroyed in the opening seconds of the battle. When she opened them again, her sensor operator was staring at his instruments in confusion. Captain, the human ships ... They're not where they were. What do you mean? They moved. Impossibly fast. The Vorthan weapons hit empty space. On the main screen, 6 sleek human vessels danced between the Vorthan ships like predators among prey. Their movement patterns defied everything Zexai knew about space combat. Ships that size shouldn't be able to accelerate so quickly or change direction so sharply. The humans returned fire, and Zexai gasped. The weapons they used weren't energy beams or plasma bolts like other species employed. They fired solid projectiles at incredible velocity, hitting Vorthan shields with such force that 2 enemy ships immediately lost power. How are they moving like that? Kindle asked in amazement. Before anyone could answer, Admiral Chun's voice returned to the communications channel. But now she wasn't speaking to the Vorthans. She was speaking directly to the gentle current. Kithani vessel, this is Admiral Chun. We're going to get you and your people out of here safely. Keep your ship close to the mining station and maintain your shields. This might get a little rough. Zexai found her voice. Admiral, we appreciate your assistance, but you're outnumbered 3-1. Perhaps you should consider retreat. The human's laugh was nothing like Thackerone's cruel sound. It carried warmth, confidence, and something else that made Zexai's hope grow stronger. Captain, with all due respect, you don't understand how humans fight. We didn't come here to retreat. We came here to remind the galaxy that peaceful beings deserve protection and that Earth keeps its promises. Now, please, keep your heads down and let us do our job. On the tactical display, something impossible was happening. The 6 human ships had somehow split the Vorthan formation in half. Half the enemy vessels were trying to regroup, while the other half found themselves isolated and under concentrated fire from multiple directions. The humans fought unlike any species HFY had ever observed. They took risks that would terrify other military commanders, flying their ships through crossfire patterns that should have destroyed them. Yet somehow they emerged unscathed while Vorthan ships exploded around them. "Captain," her weapons officer reported, "I'm reading massive damage to the Vorthan flagship." "How is this possible?" HFY studied the sensor readings herself. 3 human ships had attacked the massive Vorthan dreadnought simultaneously from different angles. Their projectile weapons had punched through shields and armor that should have been impenetrable. "War Commander." Thackeron's voice returned to the communications, but now it carried a note of uncertainty. "Human ships, cease your attack. We demand an immediate ceasefire to discuss terms." Admiral Chun's response was immediate and uncompromising. War Commander Thackeron studied his tactical display with growing unease. In 40 years of conquest, he had never seen ships move like these humans did. His remaining 14 vessels should easily destroy 6 smaller ships. Yet somehow the battle had turned into a nightmare. "Sir, the humans are using some kind of advanced propulsion system," reported his tactical officer. "They're changing direction at 90 degrees without losing speed. Our targeting computers can't track them effectively." Thackeron snarled, revealing rows of predatory teeth. "Then switch to manual targeting. Pour everything we have into the space around them. Eventually they'll run into our fire." But even as he gave the order, 3 of his ships suddenly went dark. The humans had somehow flanked his formation again, hitting his vessels from angles that should have been impossible to reach. On the bridge of the human destroyer Indomitable, Admiral Sarah Chun watched the tactical display with calm satisfaction. Her ships were performing exactly as designed, using humanity's greatest advantage over other species, their willingness to embrace controlled chaos. "Admiral, the Vorthan commander is getting desperate," reported her tactical officer, Commander Rodriguez. "He's ordering his ships to fire indiscriminately into the combat zone." Chun nodded. "Predictable. Vorthans always resort to brute force when their standard tactics fail. All ships, implement pattern Sigma. Let's show them why human pilots are considered crazy by everyone else." The 6 human ships suddenly accelerated in different directions, their movement patterns becoming even more erratic. To outside observers, it looked like complete madness. Ships diving toward enemy vessels only to roll away at the last second. Vessels flying directly through crossfire zones that should have vaporized them. "Captain." HFY watched from the bridge of the gentle current, her forearms gripping her command chair. "How are they not dead?" she whispered. Her sensor operator, Kylaneth, looked up from his instruments with wide eyes. "Captain, I think I understand. The humans aren't trying to avoid the enemy fire. They're predicting where it will be and moving into the safe spaces between the shots." "That's impossible. The calculations required would overwhelm any computer system." "Unless," Kendall said slowly, "they're not relying entirely on computers. Look at their flight patterns. There's something organic about them, like they're reacting on instinct." He was more right than he knew. Human pilots trained differently than other species. Where aliens relied on calculated maneuvers and computer-assisted targeting, humans learned to trust their intuition. They flew by feel, making split-second decisions that saved their lives. Lieutenant Jake Wildcard Morrison, pilot of the destroyer Relentless, proved this point as he dove his ship between 2 Vorthan cruisers. Their crossfire should have destroyed him instantly. Instead, he seemed to dance through the deadly energy beams, firing his mass drivers at point-blank range into both enemy vessels. "Wildcard, what the hell was that maneuver?" demanded his wingman over the communications. "No idea," Morrison replied cheerfully as both Vorthan ships lost power. "Saw an opening and took it." "Isn't that what we're supposed to do?" Admiral Chin smiled despite the serious situation. Human pilots were indeed considered insane by galactic standards, but their insanity won battles that careful planning could not. "Admiral," reported her communications officer, We're receiving a priority transmission from Earth Command. Encrypted channel. Put it through my private com. The message was brief and to the point. Earth's intelligence network had detected a massive Vorthan fleet movement. Over 200 ships were being assembled 3 systems away, preparing for a major offensive. This border skirmish was just the beginning. Chun's expression hardened. If the Vorthans were planning something this large, it meant they intended to push into neutral space and claim it all. Thousands of peaceful species would face slavery or extinction. Commander Rodriguez, signal all ships. Begin Phase 2 operations. Ma'am, Phase 2? Against this small force? The Vorthans are planning something much larger than this raid. We need to send a message that reaches all the way back to their high command. Rodriguez nodded and relayed the orders. On every human ship, weapons officers began loading special ammunition that had been developed specifically for fighting superior numbers. Captain Zexhai noticed the change immediately. The human ships have stopped moving, she reported. They're taking stationary positions around the Vorthan formation. This puzzled her tactical officer. Why would they give up their movement advantage? Now, the Vorthans can target them properly. They were about to learn why humans were considered the most dangerous species to fight in the galaxy. All Vorthan vessels. Admiral Chun broadcast on an open channel. This is your final warning. Withdraw from this system immediately or face the full consequences of your actions. Thackeron's response crackled with rage. Human dogs. You think 6 ships can threaten the might of the Vorthan Empire? We will crush you and then enslave every being in this system. Copy that, Commander. Your choice. Chun switched to her fleet channel. All ships, you are authorized to use Thunderbolt rounds. Show them what happens when you threaten innocence in front of Earth's military. The next 10 seconds changed everything Zexhai thought she knew about space combat. Instead of the standard mass driver rounds, the human ships fired projectiles that seemed to explode in flight, releasing clouds of smaller projectiles. Each mother round contained thousands of guided submunitions that spread across huge areas of space. The Vorthan ships found themselves flying through clouds of tiny, intelligent projectiles that sought out weak points in their armor. Thousands of impacts per second overwhelmed their shields and began systematically destroying their weapons, engines, and life support systems, but the truly terrifying part was the precision. The human weapons were somehow programmed to disable rather than destroy. Vorthan ships lost their ability to fight without losing their ability to sustain life. Impossible, breathed Zexhai. They're neutralizing an entire fleet without killing anyone. War Commander Thackeron watched his tactical display in horror as his ships went dark one by one. His crew was alive, but his vessels were completely helpless. In less than 5 minutes, 14 advanced warships had been reduced to floating debris. Sir? His communications officer reported with a trembling voice. The humans are hailing us. Put them through. Admiral Chun's face appeared on his screen, her expression showing no mercy. Commander Thackeron, your ships are disabled but intact. Your crews are alive. Consider this a demonstration of human capabilities when we're being restrained. Restrained? Thackeron snarled. If we had wanted you dead, you would be dead. Instead, we wanted to send a message to your superiors. Humans don't just defend ourselves. We defend anyone who asks for our protection. And when we make that commitment, we keep it. Chen leaned forward, her eyes cold as space itself. Tell your empire that the neutral zones are now under Earth's protection. Any attempt to conquer or enslave peaceful species will be met with the full force of humanity's military. We have 300 ships in this sector alone. And every one of them is crewed by people who chose to serve because they believe innocent beings deserve to live free? Thackeron felt something he hadn't experienced in decades, fear. Not just of dying in battle, which was an honorable fate for a Vorthan warrior, but fear of facing an enemy that could destroy his forces without even trying. This isn't over, human. The Empire has thousands of ships. And Earth has 4 billion people who will gladly crew ships to protect the innocent. Do the math, Commander. The transmission ended? Leaving Facaron alone with his thoughts and his disabled fleet on the mining station, celebrations had begun. 700 beings who had expected to die or worse were singing, cheering, and embracing each other. The impossible had happened. Someone had stood up to the Vorthan Empire and won. Captain, Zexhai received a direct communication from Admiral Chun. Captain, are your people safe? Yes, Admiral. Thanks to you and your crews. I don't know how to express our gratitude. No gratitude necessary, Captain. This is what we do. But I need to ask you something important. Earth is establishing permanent patrol routes through the neutral zones. We're going to make sure this doesn't happen again. Would the Cathani Trade Union be interested in a mutual defense agreement? Zexhai didn't hesitate. Admiral, after what I've witnessed today, I would consider it an honor to serve alongside humans. The galaxy needs protectors like you. Good to hear, Captain. We'll be establishing a base in this system within the month. The days of bullies picking on peaceful species are over. As the human ships began rescue operations for the disabled Vorthan vessels, Zexhai realized something profound had changed in the galaxy. For centuries, species had lived in fear of stronger, more aggressive empires. They had accepted that the weak would always serve the strong, but humans had a different philosophy. They believed that strength existed to protect the weak, not exploit them. They had turned their considerable military capabilities toward defending others rather than conquering them. Her communications officer looked up from his station. Captain, I'm receiving similar reports from 12 other systems. Human fleets are engaging Vorthan forces across 3 sectors. It appears Earth has launched a coordinated operation. Zexhai Stew. 3 weeks after the battle at Haven's Rest, the Galactic Council convened for the first emergency session in over a century. Representatives from 47 species gathered in the Great Chamber on Centros Prime, their voices filling the air with clicks, whistles, and translated words. Ambassador Talshin of the Zerani Collective stood at the central podium, her crystalline features reflecting the chamber's lights. Fellow beings, we face an unprecedented situation. The human military has engaged Vorthan forces in 17 systems simultaneously, achieving victory in every encounter. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. The Vorthans had been expanding unchecked for 50 years. No single species had dared challenge them directly, let alone achieve multiple victories. The question before us, Talshin continued, is how we respond to Earth's unilateral military action. Some call it liberation. Others worry about a new form of imperialism. Representative Gornak of the Thalonian Republic raised one of his 6 arms. With respect, Ambassador, perhaps we should ask what the humans want before deciding whether to fear them. All eyes turned to the human delegation. Ambassador David Park, Earth's chief diplomat, rose slowly from his seat. At first glance, humans appeared unremarkable compared to other species. They lacked the impressive size of Thalonians, the natural armor of Vorthans, or the technological integration of the Zerani, but everyone in the chamber had read the battle reports. These seemingly ordinary beings had just accomplished what the entire Galactic Council had failed to do for decades. Honored representatives, Park began, his voice calm and clear, Earth's position is simple. We will not stand by while peaceful species are conquered, enslaved, or destroyed. The Vorthan Empire crossed the line when they threatened civilian populations in neutral space. Representative Velqueen of the Aquatic Commune spoke next, her voice transmitting through her water-filled breathing apparatus. Ambassador Park, your species has demonstrated remarkable military capabilities. Many of us are concerned about your intentions. What assurance do we have that Earth won't follow the same path as previous dominant species? Park smiled, and several representatives noted how different human expressions were from other species. There was warmth in it, and something they were learning to recognize as genuine sincerity. Representative Velqueen, I understand your concerns. History shows us that powerful species often abuse their strength. But humanity learned something valuable from our own past. True security comes from protecting others, not conquering them. He activated a holographic display showing Earth's solar system. 400 years ago, humans fought constantly among ourselves. Nation warred against nation, people oppressed other people, and the strong dominated the weak. We nearly destroyed our own species through violence and greed. The display shifted to show images from human history, wars, suffering, and destruction that many species found shocking in its intensity. But we also learned something else, Park continued. We learned that our greatest achievements came when we worked together, when we protected each other instead of conquering each other, when we used our strength to build rather than destroy. Representative HFY spoke from the Kaifani delegation. After witnessing the battle firsthand, she had become one of humanity's strongest advocates. Ambassador Park, can you explain how Earth intends to maintain peace without establishing an empire? Gladly, Captain HFY. Earth proposes the creation of the Galactic Defense Alliance. Membership would be voluntary and based on mutual protection agreements. No species would be required to join, and members could withdraw at any time. The chamber buzzed with translated conversations as representatives discussed this proposal among themselves. Park continued. The alliance would operate on three principles: voluntary membership, collective defense, and absolute prohibition against conquest. Any alliance member threatened by aggressive forces would receive protection from all other members. What about Earth's military advantage? Asked Goranak. How do we know humans won't use their superior technology to dominate the alliance? Because we'll share it, Park said simply. The chamber fell silent. In galactic history, no dominant species had ever voluntarily shared military technology with potential rivals. Earth will provide defensive technology, training, and tactical support to any alliance member. Our shipyards will build vessels for species that need them. Our academies will train officers from every member world. Representative Cathara of the insectoid hives stood on her 6 legs, her compound eyes glittering. This is unprecedented, Ambassador. Why would humans share advantages that took you decades to develop? Park's expression grew serious. Because we've learned that security isn't a zero-sum game. When our neighbors are safe, we're safe. When our friends are strong, we're stronger. The Vorthan Empire succeeded for so long because they faced each species individually. Together, we're unstoppable. The debate continued for hours, but the outcome was inevitable. Too many species had suffered under Vorthan aggression, and too many had witnessed humanity's commitment to protecting the innocent. By the session's end, 31 species had signed preliminary agreements to join the Galactic Defense Alliance. Others requested time to consult their governments, but the momentum was clear. Meanwhile, in the Vorthan home system, High Warlord Thekmar reviewed the disaster reports with growing fury. 18 fleets had been defeated by smaller human forces. Thousands of ships disabled or destroyed. Entire sectors now protected by Earth's military. How many ships do the humans actually possess? He demanded from his intelligence chief. Unknown, Supreme Warlord. Our estimates range from 500 to 5,000. Their production capabilities appear vast. And their technology? Superior to ours in every measurable way. Their weapon systems, defensive capabilities, and propulsion technology all exceed our current understanding. Thekmar studied the tactical displays showing human ship movements across 3 sectors. Their forces were spread thin, but they moved with precision and coordination that suggested extensive training and planning. What of their willingness to fight? Many species talk bravely but break when faced with real casualties. His intelligence chief hesitated before answering. Supreme Warlord, the humans appear to become more dangerous when threatened. Our psychological profiles suggest they have an unusual response to combat stress. Instead of becoming fearful or cautious, they become more aggressive and willing to take risks. Explain. In every engagement, human forces have shown increasing ferocity when facing superior numbers. They seem to view overwhelming odds as motivation rather than discouragement. Our field commanders report that human ships will ram our vessels rather than retreat. Thekmar's predatory instincts recognized a dangerous truth. The humans fought like cornered predators, except they chose to corner themselves. It was a form of battlefield psychology the Vorthans had never encountered. Supreme Warlord, his strategic advisor interrupted. Perhaps we should consider alternative approaches. The humans have offered to negotiate a peaceful withdrawal from the neutral zones. Never! Vekmar roared. The Empire does not retreat from inferior species. But privately, he was beginning to understand that the humans might not be inferior after all. Back on Earth, Admiral Chen stood in the Strategic Planning Center at Fleet Command, surrounded by holographic displays showing the entire outer rim. Green dots marked Alliance-protected systems. Red zones showed continued Vorthan activity. Yellow areas indicated systems requesting protection. "Admiral," reported her aide, "we've received formal requests for Alliance membership from 15 additional species. That brings our total to 46 confirmed members and 12 more in negotiation." Chun nodded, studying the tactical situation. "What's our fleet status?" "Currently, we have 800 ships in active service with Alliance fleets, and another 300 in various stages of construction. The new Yamato-class battleships will be ready for deployment next month." "Good, and the training programs?" "Proceeding ahead of schedule. We've got alien officers training at our academies and human instructors working with member species militaries. The Kithani have been especially quick learners. Their first defensive fleet should be operational within 6 weeks." Chun smiled. The Alliance wasn't just about human ships protecting alien worlds. It was about building a community where every species could contribute to collective defense. "Admiral," her communications officer announced, "incoming priority message from the Galactic Council. They're requesting a meeting with Earth leadership regarding the Vorthan situation. Tell them we'll send Ambassador Park and a military delegation. It's time to formalize our relationship with the Council." On the mining station Haven's Rest, now serving as a regional Alliance headquarters, Captain Zixhai watched human engineers work alongside Kithani technicians to install new defensive systems. The cooperation between species amazed her daily. "Captain," her first officer Kundal reported, "the human engineering team has completed installation of the shield generators. They're also offering to upgrade our mining equipment with their improved designs. At what cost?" "None, apparently. They say it's part of the Alliance Mutual Aid Agreement." Zixhai shook her head in wonder. The humans continued to surprise her. Most species viewed Technolo